welcome to Off the Shelf with Christine and Friends. Joining me today is fellow librarian Anna.
Hello.
And since it's National Poetry Month, we are looking at books that use the white space on a page as much as they use the ink. We're talking about novels in verse. Now, you might be thinking, poetry, I haven't touched that since high school, but just listen, novels in verse aren't just long poems. They are high-speed emotional deliveries, and they tell fascinating stories. We hope you enjoy these titles to either read now or add them to your TBR list for later. And hopefully you'll find a new favorite or two. Let us know in the comments what you think of these picks and if you have any titles to add. As always, if you wish to be notified of these videos, be sure to like and subscribe below. Hit that button. But as always, let's get on to those books. Anna, why don't you get us started?
Well, I think this is one of your picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our first pick here is the Beehive by Sarah Crossan. This debut novel explores the secret, intense grief of Anne Kelly, a lawyer whose 3-year affair ends when her lover Connor suddenly dies. Ooh, very mysterious. Unable to openly mourn, Anna stalks and befriends Connor's widow. Ooh, a bit of a thriller, huh?
Mm-hmm.
She's forced to confront the harsh realities of her secret life, love, and loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read this one yet?
I have not read this one. This one comes highly recommended as one of the best novels in verse for adults.
So it's a thriller, you would say, like a
Kind of a little bit of a thriller.
romantic thriller, emotional thriller?
Emotional thriller because, while Connor's wife has known about her existing, they never really met. And all of a sudden they become friends, and now she has to come to terms with the fact that she was having this secret relationship.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds like I'm going to add that one to my TBR.
Sounds good. Next up we have one for our science fiction fans. This is Deep Whale Arcadia by Harry Josephine Giles. Astrid is returning home from art school on Mars looking for inspiration. Darling is fleeing from a life that never fit, searching for somewhere to hide. They meet on Deep Whale Arcadia, a distant space station struggling for survival as the pace of change threatens to leave the community behind.
Seems very appropriate now, of course, with everything that's going on with Artemis 2,
Mm-hmm.
making their way around the moon. I think they just finished and they're coming home.
Yeah.
Did you hear about them playing all the wake-up songs every morning for the astronauts?
I have not heard any. What are some of them?
Every single morning they play a wake-up song for all the astronauts, and the other day they played, of course, Pink Pony Club by Chappell Roan. And as soon as they got to the chorus, they cut them off and they said, "Hey, we were listening to that. We want the chorus." So I feel like Artemis 2, listening to Pink Pony Club, is very much on brand
for this book.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to
That's the mood.
read that book, listening to Pink Pony
Yeah.
Club, and thinking about our astronauts.
Exactly.
Nice.
Okay. All right. The next book is What the Deep Water Knows by Miranda Cowley Heller. This is a book that paints a moving portrait of a woman's life from childhood to love to marriage to motherhood to divorce and beyond, suffused with the natural world and the landscape of Cape Cod, where many of the poems are set. What the Deep Water Knows contemplates love in all seasons. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a, it's not based on the author's life. It's not a true biography,
Right.
but it kind of imagines the life of one woman and through all the different stages.
Yeah, feels very coastal grandma.
Yes.
Feels very
exactly.
coastal grandma. Feels, but meets like a woman in the 1800s on a widow walk.
Think about reading this. Look at the lovely picture on it. Reading this while you're sitting on the beach this summer.
What? It's Hyannisport. It's blueberry cobbler. It's lobster. It's summer on the Cape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Then we have Autobiography of Red, a novel in verse by Anne Carson. Now this is one of our quick read selections, so it's one of those easy ones to get through. And it's a modern retelling of the Greek myth of Geryon, a red-winged monster slain by Heracles. It tells a coming-of-age story of Geryon, a sensitive and artistic teenager who is navigating abuse and heartbreak with, I know better as Hercules, which is the Roman pronunciation, as his charming but fickle love interest.
That seems very interesting.
Yeah.
As teenagers, I think we all feel kind of monstrous. So what an interesting take on a classic.
And I have never personally heard of
No, I haven't
this
either.
one yet, and I love Greek mythology. So
Same.
for
Everyone's
all you
had a phase.
mythology fans, give it a whirl.
We've all had a Greek mythology phase.
Yes.
All right, the next one is one that I've been interested in reading. Helen of Troy, 1993, great year for those of us born in it, by Maria Zuccallo. It's a part myth retelling. This debut poetry collection reimagines the mythic beauty of Homer's Iliad as a disgruntled housewife in 1990 Sparta, Tennessee. Might be an interesting read as the movie, The Odyssey, of course, is coming out. Chris Nolan's coming out this summer, which of course is a sequel to the Iliad. Yeah,
I'm really interested in this one, having been somebody who, in the 1990s, that was my youth, and from what I understand, it has a lot of cultural references to that time frame. So I can't wait to give that one
I'm excited about it because I always preferred the Iliad over the Odyssey.
Yeah.
So, any chance to kind of explore that more.
That should be fun.
So our next one is The Perfect Nine. It's the epic of Gikuyu and Mumbi by Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
Yeah,
I believe
that's how it's pronounced. And this one is a reimagining of the creation myth of Kenya's Gikuyu people.
Interesting.
And it focuses on the 10 beautiful daughters of the founders Gikuyu and Mumbi, who brave a dangerous quest to find cures for their youngest sister and choose suitable husbands from 99 suitors, and thus they established the 10 clans.
I'm really interested in that, learning about different types of mythologies. I feel like African mythologies are ripe with a lot of really interesting stories that we typically don't get to.
We don't really get to hear about.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm kind of like,
I want to see what that's about
too.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested too to learn more about the Gikuyu people and also about what the symbolism of the 99 chairs are.
Suitors, yeah.
99 chairs and 10 suitors,
10
right?
Yep.
I wonder what that's about. So I'm gonna have to read that one. That sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people know that many young adult books are written in verse as well, but we have a couple of young adult novels that are written in verse that are perfect for adults as well. First up, I think, is a favorite of yours, Anna.
Yeah. For fans of Poet X, you'll really love Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. Of course, this is a novel that follows two teenage girls who discover they are half-sisters after their father dies in a plane crash. Papi dies. With one living in La República Dominicana, or the Dominican Republic, and the other in New York, they navigate the grief and betrayal, ultimately forming a bond, a sisterly bond, while uncovering their father's secret double life. So it's really, even though there's this sensational kind of bit in the middle about their father's betrayal, these two separate families, the story is really about two young girls and their grief over the father that they both thought that they had.
Yeah.
So if you really love kind of like family dramas, if you love coming of age stories, I think you'll really like this one.
Sounds like a great
Yeah,
one.
it's
It's
great.
one of those ones I've been meaning to get to for a while, and I can't wait to.
Yeah, it's really good. You'll enjoy it a lot.
Cool. We also have another myth retelling. This is a great myth retelling, and it was recommended by our teen librarian, Melissa.
She's got great taste.
She does. It's on order, so it'll be here in our library soon, and it is Hecate, the Witch by Nikita Gill. Hecate is the goddess of fate and the night, who is grossly misunderstood throughout history. In this retelling, she is not a goddess yet. She is fleeing persecution. To keep her safe, Hecate's mother leaves her in the underworld with the goddess Styx and Hades. The action-packed verse leads us through Hecate's transformation into a feared and respected goddess. Story about stepping into your own power, and it highlights the versatility of using verse. So
another ode to, of course, the creators, I would say,
Creators,
or not, maybe not the creators, but one of the biggest proponents of verse, which are the ancient Greeks.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So many stories that they had.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Now we do have a couple of recent celebrity poem collections that, while not quite a memoir, do reflect their life and experiences. So the first one I think you were going to mention.
Yeah, so the first one is I Am Maria, My Reflections and Poems on Heartbreak, Healing, and Finding Your Way Home by, of course, Maria Shriver. She's, of course, one of the Kennedys. Ethel Kennedy's daughter?
I'm
Question mark?
not quite sure.
Don't quote me on that. A collection of deeply personal poems that address life's transitions, challenges, successes, and failures. Originally not intended for publication. Oh, interesting. Shriver later decided to share them as a way to inspire others on their own healing journeys. I wonder if this is in part response to, of course, her divorce from Arnold.
I don't know, but I know she wrote these for her own personal journals to help her heal herself
Interesting.
for different types of grief. And she realized that journaling and sharing her feelings helped her so much. She wanted to share it with others to help them as well. So that's very, I'm sure it's going to an emotionally charged book to read that one. Next we have Poems and Prayers by Matthew McConaughey. Now this is a collection of poetry, meditations, and ditties that explore faith, doubt, and finding wonder in life. It's a follow-up to Green Lights. It acts as a soulful food guide to navigating life's rodeo, and it's told with humor, gratitude, and lessons from his own successes and failures. I read Green Lights a few years back. I enjoyed it, so I'm kind of interested to see what kind of a poet he is.
It feels very Texan, very cowboy, just like McConaughey himself.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, speaking of poem collections, we might as well have
It's National
Poetry Month. So do you have any favorites of yours you'd like to mention?
I mean, of course, we can't talk about poetry without talking about one of America's most iconic poets. Maya Angelou, Phenomenal Woman, is one of those iconic anthologies. Still I Rise, of course. You probably are all familiar with that. As well as Phenomenal Woman, of course, you have all probably heard Angelou's work. Those two are probably her most notable.
Great.
Though while some people know her for her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. This is a classic anthology of Angelou's poems.
Perfect.
We also have Mary Oliver. This is her collection West Wind. Most people are probably familiar with Wild Geese. If you spent any time on TikTok or Instagram, you might have heard that poem in particular recently, where Oliver tells us that we can just love everything that the soft animal of our body loves.
Very nice.
And that you don't have to be anything but yourself. You existing is just good enough as is. So if you're kind of into more modern, less prose-dense poetry, Oliver's kind of one of those classic poets. And finally, Rutgers professor, Joyce Carol Oates. This is her collection. This is called American Melancholy. A lot of people are very familiar with Carol Oates, and she is a professor at the Rutgers.
Yeah, she's also author of several books.
Yes.
I did not realize she was also
she writes
a poet.
poetry as well.
That's
so
wonderful.
If you want to check out Rutgers in New Jersey's own, go right
That
ahead.
sounds great. Another native New Jerseyan, and this one is recommended by Ebony, and she recommended it to me a while ago. It's Coffee Days and Whiskey Nights, and it's by Cirrus Parker. Now, I read this a few years back. Phenomenal. It's so very emotional, very short verses. I love the alternating black and white paper.
Very good.
It just gives it a whole
The coffee and the
experience. The
days.
coffee days and nights with coffee and whiskey. So they were recently living by the Jersey Shore area, kind of close by here. Not sure if they still are now, but it's a really emotional, power-packed read.
Sounds great.
Yes. And our fellow librarian Liz,
Love her.
She's hoping to read some of the classic epic poems this year. So think things like Homer's Odyssey, which we had mentioned, Dante's Divine Comedy, even Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Any others?
Well, of course, Milton's Paradise Lost is a
Another
classic.
perfect one.
Beowulf, of course, inspired Tolkien to write The Lord of the Rings.
Well, that's dear to my
Yeah,
heart.
I recommend Irish poet Seamus Heaney's take on it. It's very good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And these are all novels in verse.
Yeah.
They tell you a whole story
Exactly.
in a giant poem,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful.
I mean, before the novel's invention in the 18th century, some even say the 19th century. I mean, that's what all literature
Really was.
It was
love-
verse.
love
Yeah.
verse.
Yeah.
And then Liz also mentioned lyrics to songs as poetry too, which I thought was a
That's a good point.
really
Yeah.
interesting perspective. So there's some wonderful lyrics out there. As a matter of fact, if you think about some of the songs in musicals,
Yeah, absolutely.
Walter mentioned You Have to Be Careful Taught from South Pacific as a wonderful song in verse that tells a wonderful story. So
Yeah, of
it's another
course.
great
Yeah, I also can think of a lot of modern day artists like Kendrick Lamar. Of course, his album Damn. I think that was, I can't remember, 2012 maybe. No, I think it's 2016. Sorry. That one, of course, won a Pulitzer Prize. and that
Wonderful.
one tells a very moving story about Moore's life.
So I guess I'm sure there's books on lyrics out there.
Yeah,
that
tons.
would be another great
Yeah.
thing to read.
Yeah.
So there's like so many great ways for people to enjoy Poetry Month. We hope you've enjoyed these
Yeah.
picks. Be sure to let us know what you think, and if you have any recommendations of your own, we'd love to hear from you. But until next time, happy reading.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.